Hello and welcome to Esther's Gardening Adventures. I'm Esther, and I think it's been at least 3 weeks since I posted a video. I've been filming videos right and left, clips right and left, and every time I go to put something together, I'm either tied up or something else comes up. I've been having a crazy work life right now. I've had a couple big projects due, and so it just stuff keeps building up. I'm like, oh, I gotta post a video. Anyway, so today I'm gonna give you all the footage I've done over the last 2 weeks or so. I'm gonna start with here at home at my backyard and front yard garden, which is where I have my native plants as well as my perennial flowers and as well as my winter sowing jugs. So I'm gonna give you an update on all of that. And then I'm gonna take you to my community garden plots. As a reminder, I'm renting 2 plots this year. They're 25 by 30 feet each. I've been working on prepping the beds, weeding. I had a major breakthrough there that I'm so excited to show you. You know, this is my 4th year taking gardening on as like a full-time passion. And I still tend to forget how busy April is. April and May. So I'm in Maryland Zone 7A. So I've already transplanted a lot of cold weather stuff. I did that in March. I've been harvesting that. At the same time as I'm harvesting that, I'm trying to clean up the beds and work on my winter sowing and start transplanting the stuff that can handle frost that isn't cool weather. So it's just been a whole bunch of stuff going on, and I'm looking forward to showing you. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot, but I hope you'll stick around. So this is how the backyard currently looks. Starting with this is one of my native beds in the backyard. We have anise hyssop, and the other day I went through and I hadn't kept my labels, so I went through and added labels. Let's see, I figured out that that's asters, New England asters there. All these little plants along the bottom here, that's purple mist flower, which is, as you can see, it heavily reseeds. I'm probably gonna have to thin it out, but a big poof of purple I won't be upset about. I'm not quite sure what these things are over here. If you recognize what they are, let me know. Over here we have our serviceberry, but the raspberries, which I did fail to trellis up over the winter, is a big hot mess. That's a lot of bushes, but especially on the one over here, you can see all the little flower, all the little berries getting ready. So probably, I'm guessing in 3 weeks, maybe less, probably 2 weeks, I'll be harvesting raspberries. Oh, it's like one of my favorite fruits in existence. This is a bed area that I started last year, and I'm slowly but surely cleaning up around. Yesterday I cleaned up around the edging on the bricks, and I cleaned up a little bit, just kind of have a brush pile near every garden bed. Let's see what's going on over here though. Yes, I was so excited it came back on its own. This is Solomon seal. You can see the little flowers. I bought that as a plant start last year. This is one of 2 witch hazel shrubs or trees or whatever that I started last year as a sapling about this big that I bought from an Etsy seller. And it's bushing out nicely. And then over here, the dogwood tree is doing awesome. And I'm gonna show you, the flowers are all gone now, but I'm gonna show you a photo right now of the flowers. So usually for dogwoods, they don't produce flowers till like multiple years after you've transplanted them. But for some reason, this one was happy enough to produce some flowers 1 year after I transplanted it. So that was really exciting. And then last but not least in the backyard, and it looks like my neighbor just kicked a soccer ball into my garden. I'll have to kick it back over. I don't mind. I don't mind sending it back. I had moved this so that I could mow around the area, but this is my, this is my 9-bark shrub. And then this is the other witch hazel bush I have, I'm growing, and it is native to the area. Ooh, there's like a little bug living on it. Jumping in real quick to say that these little triangular bumps, I looked them up, and these are caused by an aphid known as the witch hazel cone gall aphid. Basically, they create a cocoon, the leaf reacts to their chemicals or something and creates like this gall, G-A-L-L, which holds their cocoon. This is native to the area, and since I am growing many of these plants to support the local ecosystems, I'm really actually excited to see this. And then over here we have my experiments with the totes and winter sowing. So I've already been transplanting a lot of my flowers, and now this weekend I've transplanted a few tomatoes. Now I'm going to be transplanting more tomatoes, as well as squash, melons, cucumbers, and more flowers. So let me show you how they all look. Stocks, Anytime Mix, and Status flower. Status, I don't know. I have my little divider down the middle here, you can kind of see. This is Tasty Treat slicer cucumber and Armenian cucumber, which is a vining cucumber. Well, they're both vining, but look how nice they look. Squash. This is the summer Gilbert custard and early white bush. I think I didn't get any early white bush. Yeah, I only got the custard ones to sprout, as you can see. But still, those are some healthy looking plants. This is a loofah gourd plant. I'm gonna get that out into my garden, my community garden plot today, or tomorrow, or sometime this week. This is winter honey nut squash. Some saved seed zinnias, pink and purple zinnias. We don't know if they'll actually be pink and purple, but that's what their parents were at least. That'll be part of the experiment to seeing how they turn out. Mammoth sunflower. Got 2 sprouts. I think I only did 3 or 4 seeds for these because they can get pretty big and tall fast. Some saved seeds from orange marigolds. These are Velvet Queen sunflowers. You may notice that I have a lot of these jugs partly covered. They're untaped, but I've left the tops on. That's because I uncovered them yesterday evening, and then basically today I uncovered them and they'll be ready to transplant today or tomorrow. We're putting them back in. Just be gentle like that and that'll work. Now last night this one was looking a little bit faded. Let's see how she looks today. This is the Lanino Sweet, Leilano Owl Sweet, and Moon and Stars watermelon. We have like 1 sweet and 3 of the Moon and Stars. You can already see like the speckling on those leaves. Oh, it's gonna be so cool. Pincushion Scabiosa and Horehound. I don't think the Horehound sprouted. Oh yeah, it did. Never mind. I take that back. Let's see, we got my violet zinnias. These are also saved seeds. My Dark Star zucchini and cardinal acorn squash. There's 1 on the Carnival and 1 on the Dark Star, so that's great. I'm okay with 1 each because I have a lot of other squash I'm growing. Okay. Salvia and Cosmos. We didn't get any Cosmos, but we got, actually, is that a baby? No. But we got lots of Salvia. Coral Nymph. I'm going to transplant those in the front yard today. Strawberry watermelon, and I think they're struggling because the soil is too wet. Did I put seeds? Oh, yeah, I have drainage holes, but I'm hoping they'll recover and not rot out on me. These are my porcos. Look how huge these things are and how healthy they are. These are black Krim and Cherokee tomatoes. Oh, yeah. They're looking great. Rebel Starfighter tomato and Cherry Riesentraub tomato. I've had these open for a while. These are some zinnias, apricot blush. Now this is an example of why I do 2 varieties per container, because sometimes you don't get both. But the strawflower copper strawflowers, we got sprouts, so that's fantastic. I'm excited about that. One of the things I realized, and I'm saving my eggplants and peppers until a little bit later in the month when the temperatures are consistently at night above the 50s and 60s. One thing I noticed is the tomato plants in the tote bin are not necessarily as big and healthy as the tomatoes I winter sowed. But the challenge is knowing whether it's the tote bin's fault or the soil's fault, because I used Gardener's Gold potting mix for this one, and I used the Ocean Forest, which is a premium potting mix for that one. So it's kind of hard to know 100% whether the tote bin is to blame. So then yesterday I added some really watered down fish emulsion. That they're a lot less yellow than they were yesterday, which is yellowing is like a sign of nutrient deficiency often. So they're looking more green today, and that's good. Cover that back up. The peppers, however, seem to be doing really well in this tote. Now they're still small because peppers this time of year are small. And the eggplant there in the back as well. But we're getting a good amount of germination. They're growing, they're not dying, they're not stunted, really. So I think we're okay. So overall, I'd say I probably have about a 75% success rate if you count how some jugs only have 1 thing that have sprouted in them. And I'm okay with that. We had a really intense rainstorm the other day, and I came out and the coleus that I had grown from seed indoors and brought outside and was hardening off basically got peppered by the torrential rain and possibly even hail. So I started putting it under the chair to shield it. I need to let it back out for sun now. Try not to knock over the camera here. Somehow the dark green leaves were less fragile, although they got some holes too, than the red ones. But I was growing these to give to my mother and now they're like, what happened? What did it do to us? So I'm hoping that they can, well, this one I got under in time that it's mostly saved, but I'm hoping they'll be able to grow some leaves and kind of recover from this a little bit. I just need to trim off the really bad parts, I think. Anyway, Mother Nature will do that to you for sure, won't she? But that's okay, because it's all one giant experiment and you have to take the hits along with the wins. Okay, now let's go to the front yard where I've started transplanting some flowers after I cleared the beds. Over here we have, these are black-eyed Susans, garlic, which I weeded around today. I had a whole bunch of chokeweed on them, so they look kind of sensitive at the moment, but they're doing pretty good. Now there's a couple pots I haven't cleaned up yet, but we have lavender. I think this is also lavender. I cleaned this up the other day. Cut off some of the dead sticks and stuff to allow for growth. This is Sweet William, and I planted this last year and it came up on its own this year, and I love these little flower heads. They're bloomed. Oh, they're so pretty. And then we have Sweet William over there that isn't the bulbing kind, but you can see I'm gonna have all kinds of Sweet William here. So I'm probably gonna, and look, I had some volunteer lettuce. This was the speckled trout lettuce I planted last year. It looks like it seeded and did some more. So actually that's a romaine lettuce. So kind of let it do its own thing. This is mint, lemon balm, yarrow, and of course over here I have a giant yarrow plant. They're volunteer lettuce, so I left that there, and I couldn't bear to take down the dandelion from that pot, but I will today when I'm planting up flowers. And here I have, this is, of course I have a ton of parsley, which I'm just going to plant everywhere. We also have black-eyed Susans, which I haven't opened that one up yet. This was the golden giant amaranth. Actually, I'm probably going to save that for my community garden plot because that's one I want to grow for seed, and I want it to be able to get large and take up a lot of space. So I'm going to put that on the car. All right. Our potatoes that I started, they're small white potatoes and then purple potatoes, and I hilled them up a little bit the other day, but I need to hill them up some more soon, I think, adding more compost or potting soil to them. These are going to be echinacea from last year. They're perennial. In this bed I planted some gladiolus and some more iris, and these are actually bulbs that my uncle Bruce, who passed away last year, gave my mom before he passed, well before he passed. So I planted these. These are actually his bulbs, so I'm really looking forward. I think they're purple, but I'm not absolutely sure. So I'm looking forward to having some iris that actually my uncle himself grew. Here the tulips and hyacinths have finished their season, but you can see we're already starting to get flower heads on our yarrow. They make this beautiful white flower heads. I think I accidentally uprooted some thyme, but look how giant. I need to take out the chokeweed on this, but look how giant this thyme bush has gotten. I mean, it's massive. And we have some more iris. Now these were leftover, these were planted last year, but it looks like they will be blooming soon. Also, I'm transplanting some seedlings I grew from seeds I got from my friend Karen over at CD Hollow. I'll include a link to her page in case you want to buy seeds from her in the show notes. That included those Flanders poppies and the Danish flag poppies, as well as this Love in the Mist flowers, which are just doing great. Here I am transplanting some of the zinnias I saved from seeds last year. I think these were these large pink zinnias that had grown as volunteers in my community garden. I also transplanted some black peony poppies I grew using winter sowing in this container, and in the one a little bit further away from here I planted the Flanders and Danish flag poppies, as well as in this one I planted Love in the Mists. And since I filmed those videos, I have transplanted some Scabiosa, grandmother's pincushion, some baby's breath. Here's that micro tomato that I transplanted a few days ago. It's doing pretty good. I bought some golden sage. I just love variegated looking sage. I didn't grow any this year, so I bought some in the nursery when I went to get more potting mix and compost. I just think it's such a pretty thing. And I have my orange yellow thyme that I grew from seed in here, as well as stevia. So this was seeds I grew from seed indoors. The big plant that had done well indoors didn't do well when it was transplanted, but the one that was very small that I transplanted with, it seems to have survived. So I might still get a healthy stevia plant this year. We'll see. I also over there transplanted some cosmos. This is a Memories of Mona cosmos plant. I also transplanted some coral nymph salvia here and in the front bed, as well as here. Planted some horehound that you saw earlier in here. Horehound is good for throat. You make cough drops with it, or even candy, old-fashioned candy with it. It's in the mint family, so I put it in a container. You don't want to grow mint in the ground if you can help it. I also put another Memories of Mona cosmos here, and the one rose bonbon seed that grew using winter sowing I planted here. So it'll be neat to see the two different cosmos next to each other and how they perform. Here's the Flanders and Danish flag poppies, as well as zinnias. And then over here we have Love in the Mist, as well as black peony poppies and zinnias. You can see the slugs get to the zinnias at night, but they'll be fine. They just need a little more time. A couple of weeks ago, the red columbine, which is native to my area, was sprouting. It's still there, but it's kind of faded, but it's just so beautiful. As well as some blue-eyed grass that kind of grows wherever it decides to in my front yard, but it's native to the area and it's fantastic. All right, now let's switch to looking at what's going on in my community garden plots. Oh, there's so much to show you. What you see me doing here might sound routine to you, might look routine. Oh, it's just a lady watering her garden. Well, I'm here to tell you this is a game changer for me. This is water from the creek, about 50 feet into that woods. And this means I can fill this barrel, let me keep watering, and I can water my plants in this garden, and the other bed I won't be doing a hose over there, but for the other bed I can easily transport water over, and I'm just so thrilled because this really is a game changer. I won't have to be stingy with water, assuming that the creek doesn't dry up, which I've heard it gets a little low in the summer, but in the spring it's fine. So we'll see. Being able to fill up water from the creek to take to my other bed, and look how clear it is. That is some clear lake water. Clearly it's not drinkable, but oh, it's beautiful. I fill up the barrels and take them to the other garden. This really is going to be huge for me this year. I'm hoping it'll increase the productivity of my garden as well. So to access the creek water, I have to go down this little path. I usually carry my heavy, large battery with me. And some gardeners dug out this area. This is a feeder stream coming from the Patuxent River, so it's pretty clean. And then I use this sump pump that I bought last year. It's a submersible pump that I use duct tape to connect a pipe to over it to help seal it, as well as I had to connect that to a hose, so I bought like one of those connector things. I'll find the word for it sometime. And then the hose goes all the way. You can see all the other hoses the gardeners use, but it goes all the way through the woods over to where the garden is. It's kind of crazy setup. Since doing this, I've realized I can leave the battery actually on the side, on the ground, instead of in a bucket. But at first I was putting it in a bucket on top of the water so that I could connect it to the pump. And then I put the submersible in before I turn it on. Strangely enough, when I see the water dripping from the connector, I know it's working. I know it's weird, but it's a way that I know the water's getting through. Okay, so this is how the community garden plot that I had last year that I kept this year. So this is plot number 1, or plot number 38, if we're talking technically, is doing. So I've gotten pretty much all the beds weeded. I need to weed this area over here, but pretty much most of the weeding is done for this garden, and a little bit over here I need to weed as well. I have This is something called celtus. This is a type of lettuce, but you don't actually eat, that's a weed, you don't actually eat the leaves, you eat the stem. So it goes a really thick stem. You can kind of see the stem here, and you cook that up and eat it. I think you peel it. Anyway, I've never grown celtus before, and I'm excited to try it. This is speckled trout romaine. Oh, I need to give it some water. But look how beautiful these leaves are. I've been picking away. You can see I've been harvesting leaves right and left as I go. And this is Jericho romaine lettuce, which is supposed to be a very heat-tolerant lettuce, romaine, because it's from the Middle East. It's from Israel. This is where I planted the cucumbers, these Armenian cucumbers, and the tasty treat slicer cucumbers. Mullein plants left over from last year, they're perennial. And look how beautiful the, look, there's a bee visiting. Okay, the comfrey, the bee is visiting the comfrey. Comfrey plant can, oh, here we go. Yay! Hi, Mr. Bee. Oh, I'm so excited to see you visiting the plants. All right, so comfrey can be used for medicinal purposes. It's also great for making compost tea, for feeding your plants. And this was one plant last year given to me by a friend. Now this is what's called sterile comfrey, meaning its seeds won't produce new plants, but it can spread by rhizome slowly. Here's some more mullein. So this is the area where I have the flowers, although I tend to disperse some flowers throughout the other beds. I transplanted a couple days ago some more of the Flanders poppies and Danish flag poppies. I need to water them today. This is marshmallow plant, leftover perennial from last year. I was weeding and I had to take a photo of it because I couldn't remember what was here. And then I found the tag and I was like, oh, it fits the ID. As well as some anise hyssop. I have that growing in my backyard as well. Over here I planted some zinnias 2 days ago, as well as some love in the mist from my friend Karen. Velvet dawn cornflowers, which are looking great really. Some spearmint, and I know you're not supposed to plant spearmint in the ground, but honestly in this garden I'm not worried about it spreading too much. And some black peony poppies. All these guys need watering, except the cornflowers look like they're doing fine. This is the garlic I planted in the fall. Same over here. These are some jugs I've been watering because I was gone for a couple days. What I'll do is I'll just fill a big tub of water. Oh, who's on top here? Okay. I'll fill a big tub of water and kind of what's called bottom water feed the plants to have them help. So this is golden amaranth I'm going to be transplanting. Let's see. You can see how flooded they get, but they love it. This is stocks and statis. We saw those earlier. Come on, finish draining. There's some dill. I need to transplant that ASAP. It doesn't have a lot of soil left. And let this one drain. Who are you? Remind me what you are. Yo, you're the copper straw flower. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna set you over here. This is some more lettuce that I grew in the ground. This is the kale you saw me transplanting earlier in the video. This is lacinato kale. And this is window screen cover. Somebody was giving away in the Buy Nothing group I was in, and so I'm using it, and I'm hoping it'll help shade it from the heat a little bit. And then here we have, it has gone to seed. I'm gonna taste it to see if it's still any good, but this is supposed to be the purple Napa cabbage. And it definitely didn't like the heat. So today I'm gonna sample the leaves and see how they're doing. This is Danish ballhead cabbage, I think. And this is called large blue feather leaf lettuce. But overall, the garden's going pretty good. All right, let me take you to the other community garden plot. This is the one I took on this year. And I've got a bunch of cool weather crops growing here, as well as I've transplanted some other things. So let's take a quick tour. So here we have lettuce, some French breakfast radish. Oh yeah. I love the little white tips on these radishes. Some spinach that went to seed as soon as I planted it, but that's okay. Some more lettuce, and look how beautiful this. I think this is Merlot lettuce. So pretty. Over here we have peas growing. I don't know how much I'm gonna get in the way of peas this year because they're kind of late starting, and it's gonna get hot pretty soon. But we'll see. In worst case, I'll be eating some pea shoots. I've started some green arrow shelling peas, which are a trellising, a vining pea. Over here we have carrots. These are the carrots I did no transplant and winter sowing on, and you can see the ones that I started in the domes are in this row, and the ones that I just kind of let grow on their own are in this row, and you can definitely see a measurable height difference between how far along the two are. And down here we have what's left of the Mizuna mustard that I grew, as well as some bok choy. I took all the leaves and it looks like it's coming back a little bit on its own, the Chinese broccoli. So I'm gonna probably have some more of that, harvest that soon. And down here I had a great surprise. I did no transplant winter sowing with bronze fennel, and I was weeding the other day, and I saw that some actually came up. Look how pretty this is. It basically blends in at this point with the earth, so I put labels right next to it just so I wouldn't get them confused. These two rows, this is beets and radishes and beets. So I have more radishes. You can tell the taller things are radishes. They're pretty much ready to harvest. I've been harvesting a little bit here and there as I go of the radishes. These are tomatoes that I transplanted about a week ago. I have these little dollar store trash can cages on top of them. This one's looking really healthy. This is a Purple Heart tomato. I think it also protects them from the wind a little bit. So they're looking pretty good, I think. So this one's gotten bigger just in the last day. This is Peron tomato. Now I'm going to have to add tomato staking or trellising or caging to all of these, but they're so small right now, I'm not too worried about it. So you get the idea. And then this is where my lettuce and onion bed is. Anyway, this lettuce is gorgeous. Look underneath, the leaves that don't have the sun exposure are bright green, and they're a beautiful red, the part that gets the sun. This is great for in a sandwich. It has a nice crisp texture, and as you can see, I've been harvesting them so much. Every day I've been taking a couple leaves from each, and it's just doing well. So it's gonna get up to 86 today, so I think I'll probably harvest a whole bunch of these leaves, but let's see. Let's just harvest one here. There we go. Look how big these leaves are. They're gorgeous. And then there's these curled leaf ones, which I can't remember what they're called either. That's a small one compared to normal. Let's find a big one. I've been harvesting a lot of the big ones. This feels like a big one. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna harvest a little more today and take those for my lunch and sandwiches and stuff. Oh yeah. So we've got all those here. I've got some guardsman onions going, some alpine strawberries that I started using winter sowing. I imagine I'm probably not going to get much from them this year, but they're getting established this year, and next year I'll be able to hopefully have strawberries from them. These flowering plants are arugula that have gone to seed. The neat thing about arugula is while lettuce tastes really bitter when it goes to seed, arugula leaves just get a little bit tougher, but they still taste great. So you can continue to harvest arugula leaves even though it's gone to seed if you can handle a little bit more of a strong arugula flavor, but totally still edible. These are the chamomile plants, German chamomile that I grew from seed using winter sowing, as well as the strawberry starts I got from Salty Acres. I've gotten 1 or 2 strawberries maybe once a week from them. It looks like they're setting a lot more flowers down there. And more onions. This is all weeds. But here I have some black peony poppies I planted, as well as this is a marigold I started indoors under grow lights. I wanted to have some flowers early on. I have tons of marigolds I've grown using winter sowing as well. They're doing great, but I wanted a little pop of color, so I started them indoors. Started a few indoors. And then here we have some of the squash. This is the Gelber custard squash. This is my Reinen gold zucchini. And today I'm going to be transplanting some more zucchini and squash in this bed. there's this nice area in between the beds that's really for vining plants. So hopefully if I have like, I have a honey nut squash that I think might be vining that I'm gonna plant here, as well as watermelon that I'm gonna plant here. And then this I transplanted last weekend. So the other one was 2 weeks ago. These are just some of the tomatoes I grew using the tote containers as well as in winter sowing containers. So where's the label? Oh, am I already losing labels? Yeah, this is the mystery one. Green zebra. Porco. Looking good. And Cherokee. Oh yeah. And these sticks are not really going to provide any support. These are more so birds don't take them, and also so the I forgot what they're called, but the little bugs that'll cut off the stem, the plants at the base, leaf cutters. No, that's not right. Anyway, so they won't come and cut them off. You put a little stick next to them. All right, that's it for this episode. If you stuck around to the end, thank you. I promise to be more diligent in posting stuff regularly, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.